Alright, coming to you guys again from Atlanta, Georgia. Beautiful city. Has downsides. So, today we're going to be talking completely about FNAF cosplays. All of these are going to be things that you can run to the thrift store and buy, or go pick out of your closet and buy. I've done most of all of these. There's going to be a couple of SKUs in there that I haven't personally done, but that they're all follow the same basis. All of these are going to be human characters. You're not going to build a full mascot suit in a week, but all of these characters are very easily doable. Alright, so first one that we're going to go over, really super simple, super easy, the night guard. The easiest way to do this is going to be finding, and I know that these shirts are really good right now, but finding the old button up that is the night guard button up from Hot Topic. I think they were made in 2016. I thankfully got one back in the day. I still have it. I think now they go around for 100, 200 bucks. Honestly, solid investment. And it's a really cool piece of merch in general. There are alternatives, obviously. I think the button up sells it a lot better though. If you don't get the button up, you can always just get any shirt that says security. Bonus points if you can get the Freddy Fazbear logo on there. I stacked this with a white V-neck and then a security hat that they also sold at Hot Topic within the same time frame. And I always use security hats. It's a little beat up. It's got a lot of frame on it and stuff that I did whenever I was younger. It doesn't hold up the greatest anymore, but it still works for all intents and purposes. And then with that, I'll typically do jeans, just typical blue jeans and combat boots. I typically go with Doc Martens, and that's on a lot of the cosplays that I do. They don't wear tennis shoes and they wear boots. I go with Docs. They're very reliable, and they all fit the same general narrative of generalized combat boot. Okay, and a natural segue into the second one is going to be William Afton or Cosplay. There's many different ways to go about doing this. One way that I do a lot, just to kind of be lazy, is I have the same outfit as the security guard, and I just have a purple shirt underneath. It's got some fake blood on it, some fake oil stains. They're just watered down acrylic paint, things like that. Really easy way to get around it, and it still conveys the idea. And I'll throw on, I've got blue light blocking glasses that are the aviator style. So they look similar to Steve Raglan's from the movie. I'll throw those on. And they've got blood on them and stuff, but since I wear actual glasses, if I'm not wearing those, I'll just kind of tuck them down in here. And whenever I take pictures, I'll throw them back on. So that's the easiest way to do it, arguably, is just tack on a purple shirt to the security guard uniform. And then with mine, I always carry my spring trap head, which obviously not the easiest to make in however many days. If you're on a crunch, which are all of these cosplays are made on crunch, but you can probably bang one out in a week if you really set your mind to it. And then you can always go the old school route of Vincent, which is just purple slacks, purple button-up shirt, long sleeve, black vest I think is what people used to do, and then the black hat. That's arguably one of the easier ways that I know how to. If you want to get super deep into it, you can go the FNAF movie route and just do, one of the things that he wears in that, any of that movie. I think that his appearance in the FNAF 2 flashback, where it's the maroon shirt with, actually the same jeans that I have on right now, they're regular cowboy cut. He wears the same exact ones in the movie, and you can tell by the pockets on the back of the jeans. That's another one of the easier ones, and get the same aviator glasses. And that's really all there is to it. There's so many different versions and adaptations that there have been throughout fandom in so many years. You can honestly pick any of them, and all of them are decently simple. The only thing that I would be cautious of is if you're going for a Vincent look, it might be a little hard to find pants and a button-up dress shirt that are the same shade of purple. And on the same note of William Afton was given to his child, Michael Afton. Michael Afton is the easiest cosplay that I think that you can do. For me, I just took a generic gray shirt, cut the sleeves off of it, cropped it. I wound up cropping mine a little too high. And I just made it work anyways. But if you crop it, make sure not to crop it too high. And I think that it will work not cropped, but I was taking a lot from the big brother from the Goonies. I don't remember his name. But that guy that wore the cropped sweatshirt. And then I cut the neck off of it too, because I wanted him to look a little rougher, so I cut the neck off. So it was pretty much just a very small square of a shirt. Pair that with jorts, and you can either go the route of buying pre-made jorts, but I'd had an old pair of jeans that I just cut because the bottoms were already messed up and everything, so I'd had those sitting around, and I just used them. I mean, they came to like about my knee, perfect length, it worked. And then I stacked on some white crew cut socks and kind of stacked them down, scrunched them down real good. And then stacked on, I think that I wore black Vans for that one. I've only worn it once to a convention. And I wore black Vans because, to the best of my memory, he just has black shoes in that 8-bit. And if that's all you desire out of Michael Afton is the rough outline, there you go. It's honestly super easy. And just add a little bit more detail. I've tacked on some bracelets and things. That's super easy. And if you want to go, the extra route, and you've got a little bit extra time, you can make a Foxy mask of any kind. I had made one that was supposed to look like a prototype from the Curse of Dreadbear, that you see in the knocking mini games, I guess. I don't know what you'd call those. But I made one that was supposed to look like a very early adaptation of it. And I made mine out of metal. You can do it out of cardboard, you can do it out of foam, you can do it out of anything. Or if you have the spare time, I fully suggest making the top of the Foxy head. I would love to have done that. I was on time crunch with that one though, so didn't really get to, but it was fun. And on to the next Afton kid, Crime Child, whatever the name is anymore. I don't keep up with it enough to know his name consistently. I've followed the series since 2015, I think, as far as lore, so all of the information kind of gets scrambled up. But moral of the story, Crime Child. This is another really simple one, honestly, and there's a lot of different ways to interpret his design. So you can either do makeup to make it look like actual tears, or you can do just the blue streaks like the puppet or whatever. The only thing that's very baseline is the shirt. It's just black shirt, gray stripes, and if you're really constricted on time, you can just take the shirt and duct tape it. Just put lines of duct tape on it. It's super easy. Or if you have the time to find a shirt that resembles it, even better, And the shorts is where you kind of get dicey. You can either go with the jean shorts, the jorts, or you can go some kind of athletic shorts. The only thing that you need to kind of be mindful of is if you want this to be super faithful, make sure that it's something that looks 80s-esque, meaning not the longer Y2K basketball shorts, not things like that. And for the shoes, you can really use any type of shoes that you would wear with shorts, Converse, Vans, whatever. And they can be high top, they can be low top, they can be whatever. it all works. It gets the generalized idea across, and that's another just super easy, simple one, concluding the Afton cosplays that you can do. And so, not far from Afton's, Henry, Emily, from the books, we haven't seen enough of them from the movie, but you can fully do a movie cosplay of them. I did mine based off of the books, but the movie is pretty simple. I would stick him in the same jeans as Afton from the movies, cowboy cut Wranglers. I think that he had blue button up, like a work shirt, and then he had a waffle pattern white t-shirt underneath. Not super hard at all. Or if you want to be a little more niche in the cosplay, any version of Henry is niche, but if you want to go a little bit more niche, you can go with the book designs, where it's just a flannel that's like roughly yellow and blue kind of. I had pulled mine out of my closet from I don't know how long ago. You just button it and then throw overalls on and boots, and then it's pretty much done. I had thankfully had a pair of older glasses laying around that looked super similar that I wore with them, and it worked super well, and I just wore those. And then, you know, if you have longer hair, push your hair back, whatever. Super easy, not a big deal. But Henry's kind of the fun one to play with because you can do just straight out of the books, or you can do a very specific stylized version, whatever. You know, mine has blueprint stuff down in the pocket and things like that. You can carry around like some animatronic props, whatever, you know? And it's kind of fun to play around with him because he would have, you know, tools or pieces or parts or whatever. And it's one of those that you can kind of get creative with on the details. All right, and the next step up is the Fazbear Employee. So there's a couple of different ways to go about this. And there is, you know, different ones that you can do. So the first one is for females. It's the one from, you know, the ad that you see in the movie, where it was a white button-up shirt with a red vest, and you know, you can put pins on it, you can put whatever, and you know, you've got a nameplate on there and things like that. You can do that super easy, you know, and I think that's one of the most like recognizable ones. Like that's just undeniably you will get recognized. Oh, you know, Fazbear Employee, whatever. And you can do that as a guy too, because a lot of people assume that it's the same uniform. Because that's what it was. For any of you that don't know, these were based off of the old Chuck E. Cheese uniforms. And back then, the girl and the guy uniforms were the exact same. So that's how people assume that they are in the movies. But if you look at the Employee Wall of Fame, you can see that the males did wear something slightly different, which is the next thing that we're going to talk about. The male uniform is loads easier, at least from what we see. Who knows? It could be guessed wrong, and they could wear bright purple and black, you know, speckled pants, whatever. But from what is guessed, and I use different things. I use the Daco YouTube figures, and I use any behind-the-scenes pictures I can find. I came to the conclusion that it was black shoes, and then black dress slacks, a red polo t-shirt, and then suspenders that are black and white checkerboarded. The suspenders I did have to order off of Amazon. Those aren't as common to find, but it's also not hard to find something that fits in, or you can paint them or do whatever you have the time to do. But it's super simple, and those costumes were based off of the old Rockfire Explosion employee uniforms instead of the Chuck E. Cheese. I think that it's a nice blend of the two. Me and my friend Bastrap actually went to Nashville Celebrity Comic-Con dressed as Fazbear Employees, and somebody asked if we were, showbiz employees and things. It was really cool. Decently, easily recognizable, super quick to do. And the only thing that you might have to get a little bit more creative on is name tags. And I will put a name tag base up that I made It's not perfect by any means, but it's good enough. So the way that I made that was I went in, looked at all the pictures that I could of the name tag, drew it out, and there is a white border around it. It's not a straight just cutout. So white border around the name tag, and you can screenshot that for use completely, throw your name on there, pick a font, and then I did a yellow and like a darker orangish yellow color gradient on mine. And then the backing is completely up to you. Make them however the hell you want to. Tape them on, do whatever. But I had cut a piece of metal and then, sized it to the name tag and then put magnets on the back of the metal. And then you just pass the magnet under your shirt and then you just magnetize it to the metal. And you just need to make sure to put them over the suspenders. Super easy. Really fun cosplay that a lot of people will tend to recognize, but all of these are super easy cosplays that you can do in a day, in a week, whatever, and tweak them to your time constraint, obviously. All of these can easily be made in a day, and it's not a big deal, and you can get very base level, just recognizable enough to where if somebody knows the character, they know who you are. Or if you want to, you can go and you can do a little bit more detailing with it, make it a little more recognizable, where if somebody doesn't know the specific version of the character, they might be able to recognize it still, and it's all fun. Even if somebody doesn't know the character you're cosplaying, you know it, you get to take pictures with it, and it's all fun. You get to go enjoy conventions in it, whatever. But so that's pretty much every character that's reasonably easy that you can just do quick. I highly suggest that if you're on a time crunch, you just want to go and cosplay to a convention, and you're into FNAF, and you don't really need like this big mascot suit. I fully suggest doing some of these. The Fazbear Employees were really fun, and the Night Guards are pretty fun too. And I carry a Freddy head around with that. You might not be able to make that in time for the convention, but it's all fun. It's all fun games, and all of these give you some places to put things. You've got pockets on it. You're not wearing a Spider-Man suit. You're not wearing any. You have pockets, so that's nice. And I always, whenever I can, I carry a bag with me in cosplay. And a lot of these fit with that. You can fit bags into these cosplays super easily. But I hope to see you guys use some of these ideas. Tag me if you decide, hey, let's run with this. Let me see it. I would love to see some of the ideas that people come up with from these. Because it's not a tutorial as much as it is just some inspiration. Like I said, I've done most of all of these, and they're just fun to do because you get to do your own little thing that doesn't have a super strict base of this is exactly what it looks like. It's not the MCU. They haven't had screen accurate costumes of these because there is no screen accurate costume. Most of all of these are 8-bit sprites. But yeah, feel free to use any of these ideas. Feel free to use the template, whatever you want. I would love to see them. I would love to see some of the ideas that come from this, some of the designs. And I hope you guys have a good day and God bless.